In this video, I'll show you which lens I use for air-to-air photography and why. So air-to-air photography is a very challenging type of photography because you're in an airplane that's moving and vibrating, and the other aircraft is also moving and vibrating, and on top of that, the two aircraft, while flying in formation, are basically independently moving with respect to each other. Now, when you're trying to photograph this, there's a lot of factors that come into play, but the first one is probably ease of movement inside the environment. Sometimes if you're lucky, you can shoot open door, and that means there's nothing in your way to the other aircraft. However, other times you're going to need to be shooting through a canopy or a plexiglass or some kind of obstruction. And what that means is you can have a lens that you can maneuver while still getting the shot you want. Now, there are basically two types of lenses or lens families. There are prime lenses like this, which is attached to this camera, but prime lenses do not have any kind of zoom. They have a fixed focal length, meaning that if you want to get close to your subject, you physically have to get closer. By comparison, if you want to get further away, you have to back up. As you can imagine, the disadvantage to this is that you're at a fixed focal length. So when you're shooting at another aircraft, you physically have to have the target aircraft move closer, or the photo shoot that you're in move closer to get the shot you want. The advantage of prime lenses is that they tend to be a lot sharper and clearer than zoom lenses. Zoom lenses have an adjustable focal length, meaning that you can zoom in and out just simply by turning a dial or something on the lens in order to get closer to your subject. So again, the advantage of this is that if you want to get closer, you don't need to move the two aircraft, you can just zoom in. There is of course a limit, and that depends on the actual lens itself. Now this lens is a Canon 70-200 f4 lens. It's a wonderful lens, it's very sharp. I use it a lot in photography. The disadvantage of this specific lens is that it does not have image stabilizer. Canon does make a model with image stabilizer, I just don't own it yet. But this is normally a go-to lens for a lot of photographers because it provides a good range of shooting possibilities. But again, not having image stabilizer can be a detriment, or actually is a detriment, because again, there's a lot of motion. So a lot of vibration, a lot of things going on that will actually cause the image to get distorted and appear blurry. The lens I use for air-to-air photography is the Canon EF 24-105 f4 lens. Now, this lens has a very good range. You can back it all the way up to 24 millimeters, which is a very wide shot. There's a lot of the subject and surrounding areas in view. Or you can zoom it all the way to 105 millimeters, and that's a tighter shot. Now, you'll notice that on this lens, there is a lens hood. And normally what this will do is prevent lens flare or just other light sources you don't want getting into the lens. It's wonderful, I use it all the time, except when I'm doing air-to-air shoots and I've got to shoot up against the canopy. This might not seem like a lot of distance here, maybe a couple of inches or so, but in an aircraft environment, space is a premium. And so when you want to turn and track a subject, you need to be able to get as close to the canopy without touching it as you can. Touching the canopy is a very bad idea for two reasons. Number one, it could scratch the canopy and really anger the pilot of the airplane you're flying in. Number two, you're going to transfer all the vibration of the engine and surrounding environment into the camera lens, and you will just not be able to get a good shot. This does have an image stabilizer, which when you set it to on, will compensate to an extent the outside vibration and motions. Having the image stabilizer really makes a difference. And as you can see, it's a relatively small lens compared to the 70-200 model. Okay, maybe about a little more than half or so. More importantly, the image stabilizer option allows you to negate some of the effects. Now, in the shooting I do, I try to get a full propeller arc, which means that I need to typically shoot at much lower shutter speeds for the kind of shooting we're doing. The advantage to lower shutter speeds, you get that nice prop arc. The disadvantage, you're going to lose a lot of shots because there's, again, so much vibration. The image stabilizer can only help you so much. General rule of thumb for shutter speeds is whatever the focal length is the shutter setting you might want to go with, or as low as you can go before you start to get the blur. So For example, if we're at 105 millimeters, you'd want to shoot at 1/125th shutter in order to almost guarantee you're not going to get any blur. The stabilizer allows us to go a step lower. So you might be able to get away with 1/100, maybe 1/180th of a second and not get any camera shake. Now, this is when you're on the ground and nothing's moving. Again, in an airplane, everything is vibrating. The engine's vibrating, the aircraft is vibrating. There's a lot of motion. There's sometimes a little bit of turbulent air. So all those factors are contributors of camera shake. In addition, the photographer, you need to give yourself as steady as a platform as you can. And the trick usually is to just push your elbows against your body and shoot that way. Thanks for watching this video. If you'd like to see more, please like and subscribe. You really should. It helps me out, and I'll continue to make more videos. Let me know in the comments what kind of photography tutorials and tips you'd like to see, and I'll keep taking aviation photos. Thanks again, and see you next time.